Good evening, America, and this is Q News Tonight, the world's first live daily gay evening news show. We are very excited to report that last week, 103,000 of you watched this new show in YouTube at YouTube TV. It is 7 p.m. Wednesday, March 4, 2020. And we are queuing up breaking Q News tonight, reporting that Joe Biden has had literally a Super Tuesday. Before we tell you the details, watch this.
It was biggest night of the political year, and it was certainly a Super Tuesday for Joe Biden. No question about that. He rode a fast-breaking wave to score a primary comeback beyond any that has come before. The former vice president swept the South, surprised in the North, put himself back on top of this race.
Yeah, take a look at the overall delegate count now. Some of the results are still coming in. Bernie Sanders not far behind Joe Biden. The two other major candidates, Mike Bloomberg and Elizabeth Warren, facing disappointing nights.
The turnout huge last night. Want to take a look at these lines?
Well, literally, what a difference a week makes. Joe Biden wins the majority of delegates, the majority of states. He beats Elizabeth Warren in Massachusetts. He was predicted to be wiped out in California and barely lost as the second place finisher and wins Texas. What do y'all think about what we watched yesterday in Super Tuesday?
In terms of turnout, actually, we haven't seen these numbers since 2008. There were more people that voted in the Virginia primary that voted in the 2008 primary when Barack Obama was on the ballot. Over 1.3 million people in Virginia. Record turnout across the board. 10 states that went to Biden, 4 states that went to Bernie. I mean, it was such an amazing night for Vice President Biden.
This is the first year where I actually understand why the primaries are set up the way that they are in terms of having the one more, two more, Super Tuesday as it is. I'm understanding the process of how somebody gets elected in terms of how the government has to be seen, in terms of how the people have to see that. And getting to watch this, watching how people are hopping out one-on-one, because I would have never predicted Biden would be the winner here at this point, has really shown me how critically you have to think about each aspect of this to try to win.
Well, Joe Biden, as we report tonight, the day after Super Tuesday, is now leading in terms of the delegate count. Two other related notes that have flowed out of Super Tuesday is Michael Bloomberg has announced today that he is suspending his campaign, and he's made a commitment to support the candidates in the race and the ultimate Democratic nominee. So Michael Bloomberg is out. The billionaire is out. The other news is we are getting ready to report at 8 o'clock tonight. We do It's Happening Out, the most popular live gay TV show in the world. And we had surrogates that were supporting Elizabeth Warren. They have canceled their participation tonight in the show. They canceled a midday event. They canceled a morning event. And just like our prediction on Monday saying likely Michael Bloomberg was coming out of the race on Wednesday, which our prediction here at Q News tonight actually turned out to be true, we are providing supposition that we're getting ready to hear Elizabeth Warren also suspend her campaign. So it's definitely Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. Now, we say good evening again, America. It is 7 p.m. Wednesday, March 4th, 2020. It's time to queer up the news. We are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your stories are tonight next on Q News Tonight.
Tonight on the world's first live daily queer evening news show.
Tonight's news about the gay community and the news from an LGBTQ perspective. Are our gay stories important to you? In headlines, politics, entertainment, gay culture, travel, religion, and more. Reported by respected anchors.
Out of the closet and into the headlines on Q News Tonight.
Well, again, welcome to Q News Tonight. We are live and unscripted, as last night's show proved, by the way, gentlemen. And anything can happen. Tonight we bring you the news of and a perspective from the LGBT community. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and these are our co-anchors, Aaron Darr and Napoleon Plays. So let's cue up the news. We begin by queuing up Vote 2020 to talk about a Super Tuesday breakdown in reporting results and its impact on the LGBT community. We've prepared this package. Watch this.
The results are starting to come in for the 14 states who voted this Super Tuesday. And just breaking in Massachusetts, the Associated Press calling Joe Biden the winner in the Bay State. Politics editor Ted Nesi saying it's an astounding result. We'll hear from Ted in just a few minutes. Right behind Biden is Bernie Sanders, followed by Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren.
So as our viewers just saw, that was some of the results from last night. Joe Biden winning 10 out of the 14 states in Super Tuesday, truly being a Super Tuesday for the former vice president. This was amazing because this was truly record turnout and $0 spent in a lot of these states by the Biden campaign, and not one appearance in a lot of these states by the Biden campaign, but yet he still won. So we're seeing the effect, if you will, that Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg really having on Vice President Biden in the course of this race. Also, a lot of exit surveys that have come out of results from last night, all across the board, really stated the same thing, that people are voting last minute, they're making up their mind, but they're voting for the person that they believe is best suited to make sure that Donald Trump is a one-term president this November. All of this happening while Mayor Bloomberg, of course, is now out of the race, and he's endorsed Vice President Biden.
You know, the most interesting moment of the day today in analyzing what happened at Super Tuesday was a tweet from Mike Bloomberg. Donald Trump began the day by, right after Mike Bloomberg's announcement that he was suspending the campaign. And of course, in Trump-like fashion, he took a swipe at him in Twitter. And he said, well, Mini Mike is out, and I could have told him that $500 million ago, basically. And it was a really unoffensive tweet. Mike Bloomberg replied to the tweet in genius by saying in simple one-sentence phrase, Donald, I'll see you soon, and included the video of the battle lightsaber scene with Darth Vader. It was genius in terms of minimizing. If anything of what is interesting today, if I was Donald Trump, I would be having the crap scared out of me because there is a coalition, and you can feel the coalition.
The Democrats are uniting. We're very energized.
I'm sure he's just excited to be referred to as Darth Vader. It's got to be something that's complimentary to him.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because the contests that are coming up March 10th, there's 6, and on March 17th here, there's Florida and Ohio. So there's 4. So the next 10 contests that are coming up in the next 2 weeks, out of 8 of those states, 8 out of the 10 of them, Hillary Clinton won handedly in 2016. Yeah. I expect that the next 2 weeks are not going to be very good for senators.
The one related thing to Joe Biden that my Bernie Sanders friends say, and I echo this in reporting our results, especially for the LGBT community on Super Tuesday, is if Joe Biden continues in this of what we saw yesterday, Bernie Sanders is not going to go quietly into the night. That was the story on Hillary Clinton. More importantly, the young, energetic voters that Bernie Sanders has brought into the process, Joe Biden cannot ignore. So he better find a way to reach out to the LGBT community, to young voters, to women. He certainly is reaching out to the black community, but he needs to find a way to
court the young
to
voters.
Embrace and court the young voters of Bernie Sanders.
Vice President bid is coming in soon.
We, speaking of politics, we are doing a special of the Republican perspective from a group called #Walkaway. It is a Republican organizational group that is designed to say you have a home in the Republican Party, especially in supporting Donald Trump. And one of their major spokesmen is Joy Villa. She is the one that wore the MAGA Trump dress at the Grammys. Got a lot of international attention. We are doing a special with her, and before we tell you about that, watch this moment.
And I thought, okay, listen, Trump put in the First Step Act, which has helped so many people of brown and black color. Trump was the first to say homosexuality should not be criminalized around the world. Let's decriminalize homosexuality. Trump was one of the first to raise the gay flag at one of his rallies. I mean, he's somebody who's come out in support of so many groups. He's allocated more than $1 billion toward the first towards historical black colleges and universities. He's brought hundreds of black people into the White House for Black History Month, happening in just a short time.
I want to
Hispanic History Month. I just want to say, this is not a man whose actions are racist.
Well, I know Aaron is very excited to watch this special on #Walkaway with Joy Villa. It is Thursday, March 12th. Our special is at 8 o'clock. If the LGBT community wants to understand what the Republicans and Trump is trying to accomplish in #Walkaway, you're going to tune in. You're going to learn so many things. There is an extensive discussion in this special about the argument that Donald Trump is the most pro-gay LGBT president in history, and that soundbite is sent. So we encourage you to turn in. Any thoughts about what we're going to do with Joy Villa?
Well, I know you've got a lot of thoughts, but I encourage our audience to watch your watch party of it. That way they can get everything said by Joy Villa, and then also all of your fun, sassy little words that you have to say
literally
back.
We will not have a TV working in the house after this. I will throw all of them. Literally, that will crack ceilings.
Don't be that Democrat,
I think
man.
it's a fantastic suggestion. I'm going to tune in to Aaron Darr's watch party.
I'll do a watch party.
We're going to queue up. Thank you. Wait, do we have you on record? You're going to do a watch party.
I will do a watch party for this.
Great.
I will.
Great. All right.
I'll drink in the process.
Right. Yes. Vodka for all. All right. We're going to continue by queuing up Vote 2020 by telling you that Tuesday's results on Super Tuesday saw a rainbow wave, and in all places, Texas. Watch this.
The Democratic side, a familiar face from the last election, is back again for another shot at that seat, that District 23 seat. Gina Ortiz Jones, lost out to Will Hurd in 2018 by less than 1,000 votes. Here's a look at the numbers so far, again, on the Democratic side of the ballot. Gina Ortiz Jones with 72% of the vote. Rosalinda Uwara at 11%, Ricardo Madrid at 7%, and Efrain Valdez at 6%.
Isn't that so beautiful? They're calling it a Texas Rainbow Revolution. What a cool phrase to have that. There's an opportunity, as we're seeing, for 2 times the open number of LGBT candidates to take over Congress as far as Texas goes. We saw in their House, we just saw the numbers reported in, there are 4 new LGBT representatives, and there are 5 that were incumbents that are going to continue their position. So the whole idea here is that even though Texas is known for having very homophobic and transphobic legislation, in fact, it has some of the most bills put forward every year, that getting people that are LGBT into the office is the best way to overturn that and actually change what's going on in one of our biggest states.
Thoughts?
This is interesting to watch because in 2018, the Democrats actually nominated a gay woman for their candidate for governor. She didn't win, obviously, but nevertheless, puts cracks in glass ceiling for everyone else down ballot in Texas.
The big news here is the 4 major states in the United States are California, Texas, Florida, and New York. New York is blue, California is blue. Texas and Florida have principally, over the last decade and a half, been red. But Texas and Florida are moving into purple status. And there's a balance that could go either way. So this election really, really is very significant. And likely the LGBT community is the one that could make a difference in those 2 purple states.
Well, it's definitely good to get more LGBT people in those states, in all states. And it's important to hear our voices, too. And we want to ask you at home, are LGBT voices important to you? Can the news of the world have a gay community perspective? If you, like us, think the answer is a resounding yes, then like and subscribe to Q News Tonight on YouTube and on Facebook. Do our gay cultural stories impact you, your friends, and family? Start a watch party. Get your circle involved in our conversation as it supports the gay community.
Well, we continue by queuing up the world this evening by reporting a lesbian in South Africa has been violently raped by 3 men in order to, quote-unquote, correct her sexuality. Aaron, tell us about what's this horrific story going on in South Africa.
This is really awful news coming out of Cape Town, South Africa, where a young woman has said that she was raped by 3 men. two of them being 14 years old and another being 17 years old. Those two individuals have been reprimanded by the local law enforcement in South Africa, but the third individual is still on the run. And this is concerning because this was actually someone that this woman knew that befriended her, and they said that someone wanted to meet you. So she goes with this person again that she knows, has no reason not to trust them, and then she's raped by all three of them in what is called corrective rape, which is a form of rape where it is intentionally used to correct someone's queerness. And it's being deemed as a hate crime in South Africa.
It is a hate crime.
It is.
First of all, having to call it correct is saying that there's something incorrect in the first place, which obviously we know is untrue. But then, of course, to force yourself on somebody else as if that would cause anything positive to happen at all is ridiculous. It's justification that makes absolutely no sense.
I think what's very sad is South Africa has been one of the most progressive LGBT embracing countries on the continent of Africa. South Africa specifically has one of the biggest prides in all of the continent in Johannesburg. Cape Town is a close second. It's a very disappointing story, especially over what the point of the rape was. We're going to continue to follow this story. We're going to cue up the world again by reporting that over 100 LGBTQ plus filmmakers have boycotted the pro-LGBTQ plus Israeli Film Festival. Napoleon, tell us what's happening in Israel.
Yes, June 4th to 13th is the 15th annual state-funded Tel Aviv Festival. It has over 130 different filmmakers that are involved with it. Over 100 of them identify as LGBT themselves. And they obviously are pushing for equality in the LGBT spectrum through this festival. However, the pushback that they're getting is about people that are defending the rights of Palestinians. In fact, the Palestinian Campaign for the Academic and Cultural Boycott of Israel, a PACBI, is a group that's leading this boycott because they don't want people to go and push for equality when they're not getting equality themselves. They have put this phrase forward, pinkwashing, which is where the company, or rather in this case, the state, is waving a flag of acceptance because of the LGBT community, but they're acting discriminatorily in terms of human rights as it comes down to the Palestinians. So it's, hey, we're treating these guys well. It doesn't matter that we're not treating these other people. Someone could be queer and Palestinian or non-queer and Palestinian, and they'd be affected here. So we're seeing asylum seekers that come a lot to Israel. We're seeing a lot of this happen, and we're hopefully going to see some change in the long-term Israeli-Palestinian conflict in terms of human rights.
My same observation in Israel as I had in South Africa is Israel is one of the most progressive LGBT nations on the planet. This shouldn't be happening. Simply, it shouldn't be.
It's called the gay capital, Tel Aviv.
Yeah. I'm sure this story is going to continue to play out as it takes part across the region of Israel. And as it does, Q News Tonight is going to be there every step of the way following this story, because Q News Tonight is part of the Happening Out television network. We are the Daily News. But you can also watch the best of entertainment live every Monday night at 8 p.m. on happening.fun. We are also part of the most popular live gay TV show in the entire world every Wednesday night. Tonight, right after Q News Tonight, tonight at 8 p.m. on It's Happening Out. It's a talk show like television's The View, but with a whole lot of gay people. How you doing?
How you doing? All right. Well, proof of our commitment to the LGBT community, the Happening Out television network is going to do a new sponsorship. The largest LGBTQ plus church in the world is located here in South Florida, called the Sunshine Cathedral. And as you can tell in Q News Tonight, we embrace stories about what's going on in religion. Frequently, unfortunately, they're negative stories. But there is a ray of sunshine, literally, here in South Florida. So Happening Out Television Network has made a major, significant commitment to broadcast the Sunday services live of the Sunshine Cathedral. And this is a church unlike anything you have ever seen before. It will launch in the live broadcast this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. live. Aaron and Napoleon are going to help launch this new special broadcast. The mayor of Fort Lauderdale is going to help launch this new special service. And we've given you a little taste of what the Sunshine Cathedral and what you can expect. Watch this. Well, there it is, America, and we're very excited. Happening Out Television Network and supporting this religious broadcast. It is the first in the world of a large LGBTQ live broadcast of a religious service.
Yeah,
what do y'all think about what we're doing?
We do say religious, and they are Christian. However, I'm not. And I've gone to many of their services, many of their events. I was there just 2 weeks ago. I really like what they do. I love their idea of what makes something a spiritual experience. They put on all sorts of different shows. They even had an aerial show the other week. And their idea is that when people are coming together to celebrate, that's a reason to have God there. And I love that. And that's why I'm going to continue to be a part of the Sunshine Cathedral.
Great.
I'm actually looking really forward to this because as someone who's raised Baptist for 19 years of my life in the state of Ohio, I grew up on PTO, which is Praise the Lord Network.
That's
and,
right.
and the 700 Club. So, yes, Tammy Faye and Jim Baker, all of those individuals.
The greatest drag queen in history.
Now I
know,
understand
right?
Aaron Gar fully.
So I'm just so excited for this because I think that LGBT people deserve to have a connection and relationship with the Lord as well.
You know, it's very interesting, and Happening Out Television Network is participating in the sponsorship of this. And in the LGBT gay community, of all of the organizational structure in America that gay people feel have harmed them the most, the number one is church. Number one. Of course, you represent that story, and I think we all do. Mm-hmm. This is a wonderful new opportunity to say there are alternatives.
And you can be anywhere and watch it. That's the greatest part.
That's right. We continue at Q News tonight by queuing up sports. We report that there is a new bill to ban transgendered women from sports passes. It passes in Arizona's House. We prepared this. Watch this.
It's one step closer to becoming a law this morning after clearing the House on Tuesday. First, though, a little background. It's called the Save the Women's Sports Act, and it was authored by Representative Nancy Bartow. It's basically a response to a pair of trans athletes in Connecticut, their story getting national attention because of their prowess competing against high school girls in track and field. Now, on Facebook, Bartow says women's opportunities for which they have fought hard for the last 50 years are being destroyed because the playing field they fought to level is now uneven again.
So as our viewers just saw, there's a bill in the Arizona House. It's House Bill 2706, which would ban trans students from playing in sports that they were not assigned at birth. It's a pretty partisan divide here that we see in the Arizona State House, where 31 Republicans vote in favor of this measure, 29 Democrats vote against this measure. So now it's passed. Now it's moving on to the Senate. So it has to pass in the same exact form in the Senate for it to be signed into law by the Arizona governor. It's truly sad because it comes at the expense of hurting the LGBTQ community, but not just the LGBTQ community, children in their earlyhood child development years.
Aaron, in reporting this story, is your expectation that this will get to the governor's desk and it will pass?
I would imagine that it will probably go through to the Senate, but as we've seen here in Florida and other states, that the momentum that the far right is seeming to get with these anti-LGBT bills due to the public outcry of so many people being steadfast against this notion of discrimination against the LGBTQ community. I hope that it will die in a committee in the Senate.
Well, tonight we are broadcasting from our studio set in the middle of the World AIDS Museum and Education Center, right here in Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We always joke, especially when I'm sitting between Aaron and Napoleon, that we're coming from the gayest place on planet Earth, and it seems to be proven over and over again. We also thank our set designer, Concepto Modern Living in Fort Lauderdale. And since we're here in the World AIDS Museum, we present a guest tonight. We'd like to welcome Raquel Lopes, the executive director of the World AIDS Museum. Good evening, Raquel.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you guys again.
We have Raquel here. First off, we have an event going on in the World AIDS Museum. If you hear any of the sound, that's why we're in headset tonight. That's because this is a live venue going on here in the museum. This is a live event. We've asked Raquel on because, as you know, Q News tonight, it's happening out. Happening.Fun and the Happening Out television network are big supporters of the World AIDS Museum. And there's a big event, fundraising event for this museum coming up, which is the AIDS Walk. And it's here in Fort Lauderdale on March 21st. It is a fundraising event that will directly benefit the World AIDS Museum, and we wanted to bring your attention to it. I'm going to be walking in this event, and I'm going to be with Team World AIDS Museum, and I hear you call yourself the Happy Heinies.
The Happy Heinies.
Can you please explain, in the gayest place on planet Earth, what the Happy Heinies are?
So our team captain, Dr. Ali Shawkat, is a colorectal surgeon, and he has been on our board for several years now. He's taken up the mantle of being the lead, the pusher of this team, and raised a lot of money from his own patients, from his own family and friends. And so because he does what he does, the Happy Heinies became the name of our team.
That answer, Raquel, wasn't nearly as exciting as Aaron and I were hoping it was going to be.
You should see the renditions of T-shirts we have been going through lately.
I've seen some of your images.
Yes.
America, the reason why we bring the World AIDS Museum to your attention is we're a big sponsor and supporter of the World AIDS Museum and Raquel Lope's mission here. You might not be aware that the World AIDS Museum is here, but it is a living museum, and this set and our shows sit right in the middle of it. We want to bring to your attention, as this event for the AIDS Walk takes place here in South Florida, March 21st, the World AIDS Museum is super important. When I met Raquel told me her number one story was people going, I don't understand why you need a World AIDS Museum.
Yes,
Quickly tell us that story.
I was at an event and with other nonprofit organization executive directors, and the question was, what do you think people around you, all the executive directors, knew about HIV? I said I wasn't sure. He said, well, the facilitator said, let's find out. And so he asked the woman next to me, and she said that it was cured. Then another person said there's a pill for that. And another guy blamed an athlete hero because he looked so good, and that was Magic Johnson. And part of it is that when you're out there, they're like, well, what's the point? Why do you need a museum dedicated to HIV? And my simple answer is that we are looking at a virus, the pandemic, that really wiped out generations of people. And we look at other museums that are dedicated to particular things. Why not HIV? People have their stories. There's got to be a preserving of the stories around HIV, and there's got to be a way to document and remember and empower people who are living with HIV, as well as our youth and our communities, around why it's important to be able to talk about HIV openly.
Absolutely. And we've got a slide that we're putting up. The World AIDS Museum needs your support. No matter where you are, Lincoln, Nebraska, we're talking to you. Seattle, Washington, we're talking to you. London, we're talking to you. This is the World's AIDS Museum, and they need your support. If you pledge on this text to give number that we're putting up right now, the participation of your money will be matched 1-for-1 in the AIDS walk that is taking place March 21st. So it is the best time of the year to help support the mission of the World AIDS Museum. Please text to support. Every dollar you give will be matched by $1 more. It's the reason to do it. Raquel, thank you for being on Q News tonight. And I have to tell you, Aaron and I have already quickly had a conversation that we may want to bring you on as a permanent Q News Tonight reporter and replace the guy that used to sit in the seat.
No.
That's
Scandal.
so exciting to us. Thank you, Raquel.
Thank you, always.
And again, America, we encourage you, support the World AIDS Museum. It's really, really important. Thank you, Raquel.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next, we are going to move to the big finish. There are many stories that we only want to mention today. And we want to see if Aaron and Napoleon and I can entertain each other in a kind of lightning round of the LGBT stories and also the stories that have LGBT perspective. If last night is any example, we probably are going to accomplish entertaining each other. If we think it becomes boring, we're going to move on just like that. So, guys, you understand?
Let's do it.
All right. This is Q News Tonight, the Big Finish. Big Finish story number 1. Facebook flags stories of Trump calling coronavirus a hoax as false.
So that's where we are in 2020. Social media is correcting the president and calling him a liar. Accurately.
Social media, the president. Over the last 2 days, Donald Trump has only put 2 tweets out about the coronavirus and over 16 about the Democratic primary. Let's see where his priorities are, America.
Facebook, who helped elect President Donald Trump in 2016, calls him a liar. The Big Finish. Trump goes after Jeff Sessions before the Alabama runoff.
Keep your friends close and keep your enemies in Alabama.
Well, it's better for Trump to go after Jeff Sessions than Roy Moore to go after the 12-year-old little girls in Alabama.
I really miss the Attorney General who recuses himself and was left in the Resolute desk top drawer. The Big Finish. Dow Jones futures are up 500 after Super Tuesday.
Joe-mentum is real.
I'm just loving this bipolar Dow trade that we've got going on. It's really opening up the conversation as to what it even does on a day-to-day basis.
I think the Dow Jones of battling billionaires becomes funnier and funnier every day. The Big Finish. Pierce Bush, grandson to George H.W. Bush, is the first Bush, I can't seem to get enough of saying the word Bush, to lose a Texas race in over 40 years.
How many Bushes are there exactly? Every time I think that we're done with them, they run for president again, or they run for Texas again, or they're redoing something. I don't know how many there are, but they seem to be breeding faster than rabbits.
Seems like the Bush family is the only kind of decent Republican left in this country right now, because Pierce Bush actually lost to 2 MAGA Trump-loving Republicans.
I can't help but think to myself, which family dynasty is going to die out first? The Bushes or the Windsors? Big Finish. New studies show that hummus is excellent for your health.
You say hummus, I say Domino's.
I guess this is the same study that also shows that vegetables give you fiber and meat gives you protein. Yes, it's healthy.
As a person who has eaten or have consumed 3 bags of vegetables today, a little hummus sounds absolutely gourmet delicious.
And just like you think at home, he does lean back, unhinge the jaw, and just drop it in all at once. Exactly.
The Big Finish. Co-founder of Christendom College says the real pandemic in America is the loss of Christian identity.
The only pandemic I see is whatever kind of diluted reality Joy Villa is living in.
I don't think that the impact of mass murdering or conquering has gone anywhere. So Christian identity is here to stay. I do like, though, that it's Christendom. I do know a few Christendoms, and I'm excited to go say hello.
You know, it's funny to me. You said it's a Christian dumb. I say Christian dumb. Big Finish. Happy trails. Mike Bloomberg's $560 million. Happy trails.
Hey, Mike, if you have any money left over, you can find me on Zelle under my porn star name, Ryan Spravis.
Oh, my God, just leave it at that. I can't imagine $500 million being spent on this race, especially knowing that your goal wasn't even to win, but just to siphon off votes. I really hope that he is that strong of a strategist and that we see some payoff from what he decided to do.
Mike Bloomberg is probably one of the smartest businessmen in the world. And how smart he was on this decision. He has a total of 52 delegates before he suspends his campaign. In other words, he spent for each delegate to be president of the United States, Mike Bloomberg spent per delegate $10,769,230.77.
Is that a song from Rent?
Good investment, Mike. Big finish. On this day in 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was inaugurated as the 32nd President of the United States. Shields up.
And on this day in 1933, Al had his first bar mitzvah.
I can't believe that we've only had 13 presidents in almost 100 years. I feel like it's getting longer and longer for each one, and that this next one that's going to have 5 terms is really going to just be there for eternity.
I actually hate Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Many people consider him one of the greatest presidents in history. But because he ran for 4 terms, he was the model for Donald Trump. Therefore, I hate FDR. Well, that's it. Today's news for the LGBT community and the world's first daily gay evening news show. Remember, if it's important to the LGBT community, it's important to Q News Tonight. We are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. And this is Q News Tonight. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7.